Hello, I am Shiv Shankar Pal. This is episode 2. How many of the strategy tool and frameworks fit together? The purpose of this video is to give you a very high level overview of how many of the strategy tools and framework fit together. It can be easy to get lost when we focuses on specific tools and frameworks. So this hopefully helps us to take a step back and tie them all together. Other videos have more detailed information on the specific tools and framework introduced here. Even after you become familiar with these tools, this video will be a helpful review of how they can be applied and used together in strategic analysis. The fundamental principle to keep in mind in any strategic analysis is that our effort must lead to insight that enables us to make better business decisions as we manage and run our businesses. If we gain no insight from our analysis, then the analysis has no purpose. No purpose. It is just a paper and pencil exercise to pass the time. So, thus, any time we apply a strategy tool or framework, our starting question should be what insight do we hope to gain? Two main categories of businesses. Now, I like to think about two main categories of businesses: business strategy and corporate strategy. Business strategy is all about what you compete in a particular competitive environment for particular customer. On the other hand, corporate strategy in contrast is a higher level set of questions about which competitive environment and corporations competes in, how many businesses it operates, and how those businesses work together. A single corporate strategy may indicate many businesses that each have their own markets and their own unique business strategies. I will start by focusing on a high level overview of how the tools and frameworks of business strategy fit together, and then come back to corporate strategy to help you to see the larger connections. Business strategy. There are many frameworks for business strategy, and the underlying principle of all of these frameworks are essentially the same. The framework we use consider business strategy as answer to four key questions. First, where do we compete? In other words, who are our key customers and what products or services are they are buying from us? And this indicates identify the industries, geographies, and technological spaces we operate in. Second, what unique value do we bring to our customer? Why will customer buy our product and services over all other options available to them? Are we better in terms of quality or design, faster, cheaper, easier to purchase, or some combinations? There must be some compelling reasons why customer transfer money from their wallet into our bank account. What are those reasons? Third, how do we deliver that unique value? What resources, capabilities, systems, practices, policies, peoples, and so forth help us to consistently deliver that unique value to our customer? We tend to break these questions into two parts. what resources and capabilities do we have, and how do we execute our strategy. Fourth, what allow us to sustain our ability to deliver that unique value. Can we continue to do what we do over time profitably? Is there anything preventing some other organization from moving into our space and doing what we do so that we are no longer offering unique value? Tools and framework. So let's go to be deeper and consider what tools and framework fall under each of these high level questions. So these are the four questions are very important to understanding any business strategy. So in identifying and describing where we compete, the first step is clearly defining our competitive environment. Where do we compete? What technological spaces, industries, markets, geographies, etc. We want to be as precise as we can be. Once we have clearly defined where we compete, we can then perform more detailed analysis. For example, industry analysis allows us to analyze the extent to which current competitors, future competitors, suppliers, buyers, substitutes, and complement threaten the profitability of our competitive environment. Given these five type of players in our industry, this is an attractive place for us to compete. But traditional industry analysis tools really only apply to particular and somewhat narrowly defined competitive environment. We also need to zoom out a bit further to consider larger factors that may affect many industries and markets. A pest analysis encourages us to explore the political, economic, social, and technological trends that may affect the future attractiveness of our competitive environment. We can think carefully about how these trends will affect our customers and our competitors, our suppliers, our buyers, and likelihood to a new viable substitutes and so forth. Once we apply these tools, we should have a very strong sense of external environment in which we compete, and we should have a sense for how this external environment may shift and change over time. So now that we know where we compete, we need to clearly understand why customers buy our product or services when they could purchase from other competitors. There are two very high level logics. First, this is the idea of competing on price, where your price is lower than all other options for the product that is good enough to meet the customer's basic needs, and thus you are the best price options for the customers, and you tend to attract price sensitive customers. Second is the idea of differentiations. Your products or services may be more attractive than other products or services due to unique product features, product quality, convenience, brand image, or ability to customize a solution. For some reasons, your product or service meets the needs of your customers better than other products or services. In many cases, your customers are willing to pay more for your products or services because it does a better job of meeting their needs. Hopefully, there is a very clear mapping between the unique value that we offer and the insight we gain about our competitor. competitive environment from our external analysis. In terms of being able to win against the competitions, one way to assess this is by systematically comparing our customers' value position propositions our to our competitors' customer value proportions. If there is not a clear advantage, then we probably have a problem. So now that we know what unique value do we offer and we need to offer into the futures, we can examine how we actually deliver that value. They are the least two important subpart of analyzing how we deliver unique value. First, what resources and capabilities are necessary to support and deliver our unique value to our customer. This is the very important part of our businesses, because if we are not able to build our internal resources and capabilities, then we will not deliver uh, deliver unique value to the customers. We will be failed. So we generally think of resources as things in the toolbox. These things could be transferable, such like cash, property, equipment, or a customer base, or they can be intangible, such as intellectual property, knowledge, brand, reputation, and so forth. And these are the tools in the toolbox that the firms can pull out as needed to execute its strategy and achieve its objectives. We generally think of capabilities as what the firms can do with its tools. So a firm may have a strong brand as a resources, but may be able to leverage that brand to aggressively grow its customer base as a capabilities. A firm may have a lot of intellectual property as a resources, but it may be able to quickly commercialize its intellectual property as a capability. Second, how do we implement or execute our strategy? For executions, I like the simplicity of J. Gilbert's star model for organizational design. But there are many other models that are identical in principle, such as the McKinsey 7S model. And these models are emphasizes the alignment that is required between the firm's internal structure, processes, and peoples, and reward and the overall strategy of the businesses. Thinking through this issue will ensure that we are organized and operating to make the best use of our resources and capabilities. Hopefully there is a strong mapping between the resources and capabilities. The execution practices and the unique value we discuss above, we should see that our resources, capabilities, and executions plans directly leads to our unique value, which fits nicely in our external environment. The prior questions really help us understand the current strategy and may help us to see what strategy we need in the future. But we also want to think carefully about whether our position is defensible. We may have a good position now, but can some competitor come in and unseat us and steal our customer? There are a number of barriers to imitations that may impede our competitors. We can carefully analyze the strategy we have developed it so far and explore the extent to which these barriers may help us to hold of competitions or of greater concern, the extent to which there are not barriers to protect us. Maybe we are just sitting duck, so we should be worried. Are there ways to create barrier to competition so that we are not just sitting ducks again? We are looking for insight from our analysis that may inform what we do moving forward. So here we will not talk about corporate strategy, and this video is becoming very lengthy. So the summary of this video is that we need to understand the four key questions. We need to give answered four key questions that I have mentioned in this video. First, where do we compete? Second, what unique value do we bring to our customers? Third, how do we deliver that unique value? And fourth, what allows us to sustain our ability to deliver that unique value? So I hope you got it, and till then, keep learning, keep growing. Okay.